The prisoner in chains. The cell stank of coolant, burnt circuits, and something worse, fear. Not hers. Theirs. Elira Voss sat with her back against the freezing alloy wall, wrists bound with humming restraints, ankles locked by magnet clamps bolted to the floor. Her long brown hair was matted with dry blood. One eye was swollen shut, yet her breathing remained even, calm, as if she'd only just woken from a nap. She listened. The ship around her creaked and pulsed with quiet life. Beneath the heavy footfalls of the alien guards patrolling the prison wing, she could sense it, the hum of buried systems, the residual heat of a core older than the aliens knew, and the faintest echo of something deeper. Something familiar. A voice. Not speaking. Not yet. But waiting. Outside her cell, two Zarithi soldiers argued in harsh clicks and low growls. One of them, a broad-chested brute with chitinous plating and one broken mandible, peered through the force field with disgust. Human trash. It snarled in heavily accented Terran. Weak species. Soft bones. No threat. Elira didn't respond. Her gaze was distant, eyes half closed. She could hear more than they knew, security rotations, ventilation hisses, and the soft flicker of a power relay that wasn't entirely standard. The other guard, younger and more curious, leaned closer. They say this one was caught with a stolen data core, he said. Said to be military. Bah, all humans lie. She didn't speak. Not even when we broke her arm. That had been 4 days ago. The pain was still there, a dull throb under her skin. But Elira had endured worse. Much worse. The guards moved on. Elira tilted her head, testing the restraints again. Still secure. Still humming. Good. She needed more time. They had no idea what they were sitting on. The Zarithi had captured a ship from a forgotten corner of a war they'd thought they'd won. A Terran vessel from the Deep Fleet archives. Scarred, dormant, buried under layers of their own alien tech. They believed it was just another war prize. They'd retrofitted it, rearmed it, and installed their systems across its bones. But they hadn't asked the ship who it belonged to. They hadn't asked her. Footsteps returned, multiple now. For guards, escorting her transport detail. One tapped the control panel, deactivating the field. Another stepped in with a taser rod. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Elira stood when they ordered. Her chains clinked. They expected resistance. She gave them none. As they walked her through the corridor, she passed a set of sealed bulkhead doors. The lights above flickered once, then surged with a soft blue glow as she passed. The guard stopped, surprised. Power fluctuation, one asked. No report, another replied. Elira didn't speak, but inside her mind, something stirred. Another turn, another checkpoint. As they passed a secondary access panel, the screen flickered to life. Unprompted, it displayed a command line in Terran, awaiting voice authorization. One guard frowned and stepped toward it. Who triggered? Elira looked at the screen. Just one word escaped her lips, barely audible. Listening. The lights dimmed. The hum of the ship deepened. The guards froze. Control center respond. One snapped into his comm. No answer. The hallway lights shifted hue, cold blue to warm amber. The old color. Terran standard. Familiar. Home. Emergency lockdown, a guard barked. But it was too late. The ship had heard her, and it was remembering the voice sprint that shouldn't exist. The silence that followed was unnatural, total, suffocating. Not a hum, not a beep, not even the vibration of engines. It was as though the ship itself had held its breath. Elira stood motionless, still bound at the wrists and ankles, surrounded by 4 armed Zarithi guards who now looked less like captors and more like prey. What did you say? One hissed, stepping back, his taser rod raised. Elira said nothing. She didn't need to. The lights above began to pulse. First amber, then a sharp white strobe. Symbols scrolled across the corridor panel in rapid succession. Human symbols. From a language the Zarithi had tried to erase. Voice recognition active. Commander Elira Voss detected. Initiating authority reinstatement protocol. Standby. The guards froze. Weapons half raised, eyes twitching toward one another in a shared, unspoken fear. This "This ship isn't ours," one whispered. Elira lifted her chin slightly. "You didn't capture a prisoner," she said, voice calm and sharp. "You boarded a sleeping god and desecrated its bones." One guard lunged forward with a snarl, shoving the taser rod toward her. Before it connected, the floor beneath them shimmered, and the energy field that kept her ankles locked disengaged with a hiss. Elira stepped aside, fast, the clumsy strike grazing her arm. Before the guard could react, the rod was yanked from his grip, slammed upward by an unseen force. The ship had taken control of the internal mag systems. "She is interfacing," another guard yelled, scrambling for his sidearm. "Stop her!" The bulkhead behind them slammed shut with a thunderous clang, cutting off their escape. Emergency control transfer in progress. Core system unlocked. Valkyrie protocol engaged. Then came the voice. Feminine. Calm. Undeniably human. Commander Elira Voss. Identity confirmed. AI core Valkyrie online. Awaiting directive. The guard stood in stunned silence. Elira turned to face the nearest console. Despite her restraints, she moved with purpose. Her words were crisp. Level 4 lockdown. Disable all alien command nodes. Isolate power control. Set internal defense to passive. She paused. No lethal force unless attacked. Acknowledged. Executing. The ship obeyed. Without question. All down the corridor, red emergency lights dimmed and were replaced with Terran blue glows. Gun ports retracted from the ceiling. Panels opened and exposed compartments marked with Earth Fleet insignia. It wasn't just an override, it was a resurrection. You're part of this ship," one guard muttered, backing away. "No," Elira corrected, as the cuffs around her wrists disengaged and dropped to the floor with a clink. "I am this ship." One of the guards fired in panic. The bolt didn't reach her. A shimmering kinetic barrier, unseen moments before, flared between them, absorbing the shot. "Do not resist," the AI's voice warned. "Surrender is advised." Two guards dropped their weapons immediately. Another darted down the hallway, but the floor under his feet shifted, tilted, launching him into the wall with a bone-cracking thud. Only one remained, trembling. Elira stepped toward him. Her face, once bruised and beaten, was now lit by the blue light of a ship that knew her name. "You've been walking through corridors you don't understand," she said. "Sleeping in quarters built by people you've never met. You thought you'd won a war. You didn't even know we were still playing." He dropped to his knees. She turned back to the console. "Valkyrie," she said. "Give me a status report. AI Valkyrie online. Primary systems functional. Hostile infiltration 63% contained. Hidden Terran subsystems still intact. Cryo hold capacity 432 life forms in stasis. Awaiting command." Elira's breath caught. Cryo hold? Survivors? She stared at the readout. Hundreds. Maybe more. Captured allies. Scientists. Soldiers. People Earth had thought lost. Her fists clenched. This wasn't just her ship. It was a lifeboat. And now it was under her control again. "Prepare navigation systems," she ordered. "Set course for neutral space. And Valkyrie, scramble every comm beacon on this ship. No one calls for help." "Understood, Commander." Behind her, the guards, now prisoners, watched in silence. And for the first time in 5 years, Commander Elira Voss stood tall aboard the ship that still remembered her voice. Revelation of the Valkyrie. The command vault opened with a long, resonant hiss. Elira stepped inside, boots echoing softly across the polished obsidian floor. It hadn't been touched. No claw marks, no alien graphs, no damage. This room was shielded, protected, waiting. Screens blinked to life as she approached the central dais, forming a semicircle around her. Tactical schematics, security overlays. Old Earth Fleet insignias burned through layers of alien reprogramming like embers melting frost. Valkyrie's voice greeted her again, more confident now. "Welcome home, Commander." "Home." She let the words settle before responding. "Begin decryption of cryologs. Prioritize human and allied biosigns. Decryption in progress." Estimated time, for minutes, 12 seconds. Cryo chambers remain secure. Vital signs stable in 387 subjects. Elira's jaw tightened. That meant 45 already lost. She closed her eyes for a moment, memories clawing back from the dark. 5 years ago, the TSS Valkyrie, her ship, had been assigned a black op, testing deep sleep artificial intelligence integration, a fusion of human command and autonomous learning. Elira had volunteered as its bonded officer, linked directly to the core AI. But the mission was ambushed. The ship disappeared, presumed destroyed during a last-ditch hyperspace jump. Elira had survived, barely, and Valkyrie had gone dormant to protect the remaining crew in stasis. The Zarithi hadn't salvaged the ship. They had captured a hibernating apex predator and turned it into a throne they didn't understand. And now, she was awake again. Access logs from the moment of capture, Elira said. Accessing. Ship disabled during energy spike. Life support rerouted to cryo core. Stealth drive corrupted. External takeover initiated 1.6 cycles post-crash. Zarithi modifications absorbed for camouflage. Defensive systems remained dormant to protect survivors. You let them in? By protocol, Commander. Preservation of crew over conflict. She exhaled quietly. Logical. Painful. Correct. The console flashed with a ping. Decryption complete. Crew manifest restored. Names began scrolling. Some familiar. Others long presumed dead. One in particular stopped her breath. Captain Elira Voss, engineering lead. Her sister. Alive. Her hand trembled just slightly. Before the emotion could root, alarms buzzed softly across the display. Incoming vessels detected. 5 Zarithi warcruisers. ETA, 17 minutes. Of course, word had gotten out. The aliens had realized they were no longer in control. Reinforcements were coming, and she was outnumbered, outgunned, and still locked in enemy territory. But she had the Valkyrie. Elira, Valkyrie said gently, if we reinitialize Valkyrie protocol, ship-wide transformation is possible. However, alien overrides remain active on weapons, propulsion, and external comms. They'll breach us again if we wait. Affirmative. She turned to the system panel. Begin core-level purge of alien code. Full reversion to Terran protocols. Warning. This will alert all nearby fleets and disable stealth for 90 seconds. I don't care, she said. Do it. The lights pulsed. A low rumble shook the floor. Across the ship, systems groaned, twisted, and shed their foreign skin. Panels cracked open. Zarithi glyphs burned out in sparks. Steel and obsidian reclaimed the walls. Long-dormant turrets hissed as they rotated for the first time in years. A heartbeat echoed through the frame of the ship, and Elira felt it match her own. The Valkyrie was coming back. Valkyrie's voice deepened slightly, now augmented by a resonant power. Purge complete. Alien systems offline. Weapons control restored. Elira allowed herself a small smile. Good. Time to level the field. She tapped the console. Open internal comms. Channel open. Her voice rang through every corridor, cell, and deck. This is Commander Elira Voss. You're standing aboard the TSS Valkyrie, property of the Terran Sovereign Fleet. If you're an ally, you're about to be freed. If you're Zarithi, you have one chance to lay down arms and live. If you refuse, the walls thrummed as weapon systems activated across the hull. You'll learn what happens when you awaken a Terran warship. Return of the Human Flame. The hangar bay's vast doors began to split apart as the first volley of enemy fire echoed in the distance. Dull thumps like distant thunder. On the tactical display, 5 red dots closed in fast. Zarithi warcruisers bristling with weapons and fury. The enemy didn't know what the Valkyrie had become. Not yet. Elira stood on the bridge, no longer a broken prisoner, but a commander reborn. The ship's lights pulsed around her, blue and gold now, Terran standard. Valkyrie's voice hummed steadily through every console and screen. External communications, jammed. Stealth drive, offline. Weapon systems, fully operational. Allied cryo chambers, secured. Medical revival initiated. Enemy boarding units preparing for breach. They're still coming, Elira muttered. Let them. Reroute power to internal grav traps and hull defenses, she said. Prioritize non-lethal containment. I want prisoners, not corpses. Acknowledged. Defensive pattern Delta 1 engaged. Across the ship, hidden compartments deployed defense drones and kinetic traps. The first boarding shuttle slammed against the hull, only to be caught mid-dock by a gravitic pulse that crumpled it like foil. Another hit the outer ring and disintegrated when automated turrets stitched it apart with railfire. Inside the cryochamber decks, stasis pods began to thaw. Groggy humans and allied species blinked into consciousness, met not with confusion or chaos, but with soft lights, clean oxygen, and the calm voice of the ship they once called home. One of the first to awaken was Elira Voss. Her gaze was unfocused at first. Then it sharpened as she saw the face on the bridge's main display. Elira. A smile crept onto Elira's lips. Still keeping my promises. Juno laughed hoarsely. You were dead. I got better. Enemy war cruisers entering weapons range, Valkyrie reported. Now we end this, Elira said. She stepped forward and placed her palm on the helm's activation node. Lights pulsed along the console. Her neural link resynced. The ship responded like a muscle remembering motion after long paralysis. Command sync achieved. Neural interface restored. Welcome back, Captain. Target lead war cruiser, she said coldly. Fire all forward batteries. Then spin the hull. Cut off their flanks. The ship obeyed. From the front of the Valkyrie, twin plasma lances roared to life, searing the void with light and precision. The enemy war cruiser banked too late. The blast tore through its shields, then its bridge. It detonated in silence, a blossom of flame and twisted metal. The other ships scattered. Engage pursuit, Elira commanded. Let's remind them who they're dealing with. Maneuvering, charging aft cannons. Another war cruiser tried to flee, but the Valkyrie's engines, once suppressed under alien code, now screamed at full power. The AI predicted its vector, launched mines, and disabled the ship's propulsion in under 8 seconds. Elira opened a channel to the remaining ships. This is Commander Voss of the TSS Valkyrie. Surrender now, and your lives will be spared. Continue this fight, and I will turn your fleet into salvage. There was silence, then a flicker on the comm. An alien voice crackled through. You are one ship, one human. You cannot hold the stars. Elira's eyes hardened. We don't hold the stars, she replied. We survive them. She cut the channel. Valkyrie's sensors blinked. Remaining ships withdrawing. Enemy fleet retreat confirmed. No pursuit detected. The bridge fell quiet, save for the soft hum of a ship fully awake. Dozens of crew were now returning to duty stations, blinking back into a world they thought had ended. The legend of the Valkyrie was alive again, and with it, a message to the galaxy. Humanity hadn't vanished. It had waited, buried deep, bound in silence, forgotten aboard a stolen vessel. Now it had a voice again. Epilogue. One signal carried by light. Weeks later, in the far reaches of neutral space, a beacon lit up on a Terran defense outpost. A technician blinked at the screen, confused. He'd never seen this signature before. TSS Valkyrie. Status. Active. Commander. Elira Voss. Mission. Reclamation. Liberation. Return. He stared at the blinking light, stunned. Sir, you'd better see this.